All right. It's time to drink water. Book review. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. Today we're talking about Nova by Samuel R. Delaney. This is gonna be interesting because I read this about a year ago. Kind of funny. I was just looking at this book on the pile, and I thought, man, I should probably talk about this because this is a really good book. Before it gets too blurry in my head, I remember really enjoying this book about a year ago. We follow the story of like a crew hunting for a dying star to harvest the energy from said dying star. But the captain of that spaceship has like an arch enemy nemesis named Prince Red, and he's got beef with Captain Lork Von Ray because he likes his younger sister, and the Prince Red does not like that, so he's got beef with Lork for like years. They got like years long beef. You get a chapter where it explains during like a fancy party situation how Lork met Ruby Red is the sister, and when he met Ruby, Lork was like flirting with her or something, and then the brother Prince Red like didn't like that he was talking to his sister, so he's like was trying to get a hit on him and his crew or something like that, but then he like leaves and escapes the party. That's somewhere halfway through the book, but that the beef between Lork Von Ray and Prince Red is kind of what drives the story here. Towards the beginning of the book, we start by meeting this character known as the Mouse. I'm not too sure how to pronounce his name, but I'll put his name up on the screen so that you guys can have fun trying to pronounce that. In the book, he's referred to as the Mouse, so we'll refer to him as the Mouse moving forward. But the Mouse is a sort of like street illusionist. He has this sort of it's called like a digital syrinx or something, where it's this almost keyboard device that has a holographic display situation on the end of it that can form holograms in the sky, and he does that as like a street performance thing towards the beginning of the book. He eventually becomes a part of the crew for Lork Von Ray, but we get introduced to a bunch of characters that eventually join Lork to hunt the dying star. We also have this other character named Katine, who is this writer. He's writing like a long novel of his adventures throughout most of the book. Like he wants to finish this book that he's been writing for the entirety of this book. Remember his book detail, because that's going to come up again later when we get into more spoiler territory of where my rating's going to fall here. I do love this book, but there is something that I was a little upset about towards the end that I will explain later. But Katine, he's like a writer, and him and the Mouse sort of like, not necessarily bump heads, but they sort of like debate their perspectives on like life and stuff towards the beginning of the book. They eventually become like really close friends through the adventures of Lork Von Ray and his crew. Throughout the book, they get a lot closer to each other. Towards the beginning, they kind of like are half and half standoffish to each other before they like become friends, from what I remember. But our introduction to Lork Von Ray is interesting because the planet that the Mouse and Katine are on, they're like in a city area, like a public area, while Mouse was performing and everything with the crowd of people and the holographic images that the Mouse was displaying and everything. Lork Von Ray, the captain, comes out of this crowd and he like stops everything and announces that he needs people for his crew. He needs people to help him hunt a dying star and everything. The Mouse and Katine end up joining Lork Von Ray and becoming a part of the crew. We get some other characters in the crew that I'm vaguely remembering. There's like this engineering couple that I'm drawing a blank on names, but that's what happens when you do a book review a year later. But they all join Lork Von Ray on this mission that they've actually heard about through this other character on the same planet where Mouse and Katine are. There's this old dude who's like in and out of restaurants and bars, who everyone thinks he's just crazy, and he's a crazy drunk according to people. This dude known as Captain Dan, And Captain Dan went blind, as he explains in his story that people think is bullshit. But he was on a ship with Captain Lork von Ray years ago, and they found a dying star, and when they harvested it, they weren't supposed to look at it. They had to shield their eyes and shield the ship for when the sun explodes. But Captain Dan couldn't help himself, and he opened the visor thing and opened his eyes and looked at the dying star and went blind from staring at it. So he warns people of the dying stars, and it's like a suicide mission. And here we are with Lork von Ray just out in public asking a bunch of people like, hey, I need people to join my crew so we can hunt the dying star. And then you even get a part where Lork bumps into Captain Dan on that planet, and he tries to talk to him, tries to get him to join the crew, but literally Captain Dan like runs and like jumps off the edge of the banister of this high cliff that this like almost city structure thing is on, into like almost like I forgot like what it's described as, but he falls into like a big old pit situation because he was horrified at hearing Lork von Ray again. He didn't want to go near a dying star again, so he kind of did go crazy to the point where he like jumped and died. And the mouse and Katine, who sort of knew that guy, they're like in shock at when Captain Dan kills himself. It's actually like really sad when Captain Dan died. I thought we were gonna get some more Captain Dan, but they join the ship and they're traveling across space to multiple stops to try to find the dying star. Like they needed the location and like the coordinates. But during all of this, Prince Red, the guy from before who has beef with Lork von Ray, is like tailing them. He's like following them, and he's always like a step behind Lork von Ray. And like they get into like these like almost space opera battle kind of situations where they gotta like escape or something like that, where you get some bits like that, but mostly it's a Lork von Ray and his crew being ahead of the game and not necessarily getting those moments with Prince Red until way later. I remember they reached this one planet that was really interesting, that they stopped at for information because it was like Lork's aunt who was in charge of this giant like archival museum. Like this, it's like a city-sized museum almost. I'm exaggerating a little bit, but it's fucking huge is the point. It's this archival giant place on this other planet, and it's like all these rich people walking in and out like it's a museum and everything, and it's one of the biggest museums in the universe or whatever. But Lork and the mouse go, and they go to speak to his aunt who like is in charge of the museum, and I think he's like asking her for like coordinates because she would have space map to know where the dying star is. He's like, I need to know where the dying star is, I need the coordinates. She like doesn't want to give it to him because she's like, oh, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't like do this to yourself and everything, like you're crazy for wanting to do this. And then he's like, oh, but the Prince Red is also crazy, he's a psychopath, and he wants to do, I need to get there first kind of thing. While he's like talking to her, actually it's interesting, there's like these giant screens around the museum space, and Prince Red sent a message to Lork, or I think he contacted like through like a video call kind of situation. He like goes crazy like explaining that he wants to kill Lork, and he's like, I'm gonna find you and everything, and all this like crazy shit that makes him sound like a true villain. But Prince Red is like kind of respected throughout the galaxy. Him and his family are like in charge of like half the galaxy. Like I forgot the name of the parts of space. There's like two organizations that kind of rival each other through space, and they have a lot of power over everyone across the galaxy and everything, is like a simple way of kind of putting it. Prince Red, this whole phone call thing that he did, and this message where he like is talking about how he wants to like kill Lork von Ray and everything and all this crazy stuff. Lork captured it, like he recorded it, and he displayed it to the entire museum, this giant archival museum. So everyone out in the public and all the people in the suits walking around the museum who was just like, oh, what's going on? They see a bunch of screens of Prince Red, who they know is this like nice guy across space. No, he gets like blown out of his whole bubble pops right there, where his image is torn through that video of him looking like a psycho that gets played throughout the museum. I thought that was kind of interesting. But Lork eventually gets the coordinates from his aunt, and they leave that planet. We stop at a few other planets, which is kind of interesting. Like I forgot to mention, the mouse had like a childhood friend that they like mentioned towards the beginning of the book, but he eventually bumps into him again at another pit stop at this planet that they get to, which is like they're getting closer to the dying star. But I forgot the details of that planet per se. This book is worth a reread if I'm being totally honest. But I kind of want to get to explaining the spoiler territory of this book. The ending of this book is very good, but there's one thing I would like to mention that I was not really a fan of at the end. But I do love this book regardless. So we'll get there. This is the last spoiler warning right here. Big old letters on the screen. Spoiler warning. They eventually reach the dying star, and they like prepare the ship and themselves for like when it explodes. They like have to time it, and they have these like modules in their ship that can like harvest the energy that comes from the explosion. I forgot what it's called. It's like a not a is it iridium? I forgot what it's referred to as. Another thing that I'll put on the screen when I figure out what the material is called. I should describe the ship a little bit. Actually, it's really cool. The ship design for Lork von Ray's ship is kind of interesting. It's like a space ship that has like these long sail ends, like these long sail modules across the left and right and up and down, almost like a star shape itself. The ship, from like what it's described though, how it works is you have to be a certain type of pilot to use this ship. Like they have these couplings in their like wrists that they can hook up to with these plugs when they want to pilot the ship. But it doesn't just take one person. It takes 7 people to pilot this kind of ship. So across that entire sail structure, inside of the ship, you have 7 different pilots. Like some piloting this end, the other piloting this end of the sail. Maybe the other one's on the up and down ones. But then the center one has like center control of the ship. So like that's how like the imagery formed as I remember reading it. It was really interesting, the ship design. Like kudos to Samuel R. Delaney for coming up with such a cool ship. I kind of want to draw that. But as the sun begins to explode, it's like go time. They have to like harvest the energy as it happens, but they have to make sure they don't look at it so that they don't go blind as well. So the crew like shields up the ship and opens the parts that can harvest the material, but they all shut off their sensory parts of the ship because they're not seeing through like their eyes. They're seeing the plugs and everything through their wrists connect them to the ship so they could see through the ship essentially. So they have to turn off all that sensory information from the ship so that the person doesn't go blind, which is wild. That's what happened to Captain Daniel years ago, the crazy guy from the beginning of the book. When he originally went with Captain Lork von Ray, he had his sensory situations on when he wanted to see the original sun that blew up, and he went completely blind from that. So our main crew here with Mouse, Katine, the engineer couple, Lork von Ray. There might be a few other characters in that crew if we're being honest. I don't really remember the rest of them. I feel like Mouse and Katine and Lork von Ray are probably the most important in the crew if we're being totally honest. But when they all shut the sensory modules on the ship while the sun's blown up and they're harvesting the stuff, the writer, the guy who's been writing the book, the entire book, he wants to see it, and he opens the sensory things just for a little bit for him to see, and he starts screaming, and he's like, ah, and he's like, I can't see, and everything, I can't see. He's like screaming, and the mouse on the other end of the ship, he's connected, and he's just shouting over the intercom situation for him to shut his sensors, close your eyes, shut your sensors and everything. So it's really intense towards the end, where you get this sort of like this mirror effect, like history repeating itself kind of thing with this new crew, that there's there's somebody on this crew who just couldn't help themselves but wanted to see the sun. We eventually get like a jump later to when they're safe on another planet, and that character Katine who stared at the sun, he's like slowly waking up, and he's remembering like what he did, and he feels himself like laying in a bed almost, and he's like, oh my god, I must be blind now, I can't see and everything, and he like is trying to like see or whatever, but he feels like he can't, but then he's like opening his eyes when he hears Mouse calling him, and so he's like opens his eyes, and he's surprised when he realizes that he can see and that his eyes were just closed. But Mouse explains to him that no, we did it, we harvested the star and everything, we did it, and Katine's confused as to why he's not blind, and something about the ship, I believe, and the however it's set up or something, like he miraculously didn't go blind, which is kind of interesting, because I really thought he was about to go blind, which would have sucked, but that would have been kind of an interesting part of the ending, which we're getting closer to the slight problem I have with the end of this book. The Mouse and Katine, when Katine's slightly feeling better, they go to visit Lork von Ray in a separate room in the hospital, because they all had to go to the hospital for I forgot why Lork was all beat up too, but essentially Lork wasn't doing too hot himself. But Lork von Ray explains to them that he's like, no, we did it, our mission's done, like, you're dismissed from the crew, like, congratulations, we did it, type thing. And they're surprised that it's like, it's over, it's crazy, it's finally over. But they like they give their like goodbyes to Lork and everything. But the very end, where we get a conversation between the Mouse and Katine, kind of frustrated me, because Katine throughout this entire book has been very adamant about writing his book, his novel that he wants to write, and he explains to Mouse, he's like, you know, after all that stuff and all that life I just experienced and all the things that we just did and the almost dying stuff, I don't think I want to write my book. I just don't think I'll finish it, because, you know, life is just so, you know. And the Mouse is like, wait, what? Like, hold on. Even the Mouse is confused why Katine doesn't want to finish his own book, and I'm confused as to why you don't want to finish your own book, especially after you experienced an almost life-changing events where you would have probably been blind, and now all of a sudden that changes things, where now you want to appreciate life for what it is and not finish your book that you were probably almost done with, according to how he's been explaining it throughout the entire book here. So kind of frustrating. What do you mean Katine never finishes his novel by the end of it? That's just what are we talking about? What if I had a near-death experience kind of situation like that, I'd be like, yeah, no, I think I'm gonna go finish everything and accomplish all the goals I've ever wanted to do. What are we talking about? You're not gonna finish the book. I finished reading this book. I want to read your book, Katine. He's not even a real dude, and I want to know what his book is about. That's crazy. But long story short, I apologize for my super disconjointed explanation of this book this time. I read this a year ago, but I felt the need to talk about it before it gets blurrier. In my opinion, this book is really good in terms of like the imagery, the setting, the story. I very much enjoyed the story, but my two little issues I have with the book is, for one, some of the planets that I've described and where they visit, the stops they make along the way, they're not there for very long, which is fine, I guess, for pacing, because we're kind of in a rush for a dying star situation. But I kind of wish we got a little bit more of the adventures on each planet, because a lot of the book we're going to be spending in space or making those pit stops, but the pit stops feel very brief when we get them. Like, if we got a little bit more of each planet we visited, that would be kind of interesting. And my problem too, as I've already explained, is the whole thing with Katine not finishing his book. It just kind of gave me it gave me like a little bit of like a sour aw damn at the end of the book, because throughout this entire book it's a fun, like, space opera adventure sci-fi space drama situation, and for that, I think it's fair to say that we can give this book an 8 out of 10. 8 out of 10. I feel like that's fair because I really do like this book, but like the things I've explained, kind of like makes me drop down the rating just an extra tick. Because if I had no other complaints, yeah, 100%, this would be like a 9 or 10, not 9 or 10 sci-fi book, but otherwise, in my opinion, this is a solid 8 out of 10. So, Nova by Samuel R. Delaney. If you've ever read this book or would like to read this book, you totally should read this book. But maybe leave a comment below and tell me what you think about Nova by Samuel R. Delaney. If you like this video, I'm sure you like all the If you like this video, I'm sure you like all the other videos on the channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Leave a comment below. And I'll see y'all next time. A bye-bye. A toodaloo. Or to read the book of the sci-fi. A very good sci-fi. I am much enjoy. Oh, wow, yes, yes.